Welcome back to 13C. Today we're taking a look at the brand new for 2017 Black Force 1000. This is from Nikon and it's their 1:4 power optic. It features our new Speedforce reticle, and we're also going to get into this custom 13C build that you see right here. So let's dive right down into it. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the Black Force 1000. This is the 1:4 power by 24. It's got an illuminated Speedforce reticle and a 30mm tube. It's type 3 hard coat anodized, as well as being 6061 T6 aluminum alloy. The turrets feature a 1/4 MOA adjustment per click at 100 yards, and they are capped, which is nice. It also has a 0 reset turret stop on here. So what you can do is you can lift this, pull the turret cap up, and rotate it and turn it back to set it to 0 after you've made your windage and elevation adjustments after it's on the optic. What that allows you to do is you have it 0 to your rifle, reset the turrets on here, the adjustment points, to 0, and then if you want to make adjustments while you're out in the field, you don't have to remember, all right, well, I just turned over 12 clicks right, now I've got to go back 12. You can just spin it right back to its 0 location, and then you're all done. It does have that illuminated reticle, as I mentioned earlier, and it has 10 powers of illumination on here with a stop in between each one. So you can turn it off between 2 and 3, or you can turn it off between 5 and 6, or you can turn it off between 1 and 10, wherever you want, all the way around the circumference of it, which is really nice to see. It does have an auto off feature that turns itself off after 1 hour of the power not being changed here. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to be out for an extended period of time. Keep in mind this will turn off after 1 hour if you're not changing your adjustments every so often. The reticle itself is etched into the second focal plane, and the illuminated reticle is powered by a 2032, a CR 2032 battery. In addition to being waterproof, shockproof, and fogproof, it has all the anti-reflective multi-lens coatings on here that you would expect to see on an optic like this, and weighs in at 16.4 ounces. So there's a lot you can do with this Speedforce reticle. It looks like it was mainly geared toward 3-gun competitors. I don't personally 3-gun, but when you look at everything this thing can do, especially some of the hunting aspects, applications as well, there's definitely a lot going on with this reticle. So I'm going to try and blow through this really quickly here. I'm just going to thumb through the manual here. You've got all sorts of different types of diagrams and explanations in here about exactly the widths and everything else on these different reticles. Let me pick up the optic real quick and we'll get right back at it. So inside here, you're going to want to do all your ranging and estimation and those things at 4 power. Most optics that have the reticle in the second focal plane, you'll want to use them for ranging estimations, anything like that, at the upper end of their spectrum. Usually it's maxed out, but on some of your bigger optics, like if you have a 24 power zoom on one of your optics, then you're going to find maybe in the 18 range will be where you actually do your estimating. That's for another video for something else. On this one, this is 4 power. I'm going to run down this reticle as quickly as possible. There'll be a lot more information at 13c.us, and I'll put links up to Nikon's website as well, because there's a lot going on with this reticle. But really quickly, the center dot on here is 2 MOA. The crosshairs that are offset, one on each side laterally, are 1.5 MOA in height. The circles below are 2 MOA, and the inner dot on those drop down for distance ranging are 1 MOA. With 5.56, when you sight this optic in at 100 yards on that center 2 MOA dot, your graduations underneath that on those follow-up dots are 2, 3, and 400 yards. The inner horseshoe is 17 MOA, and that horseshoe ring is 1 MOA thick. The outer horseshoe that's on the outside of that is going to be 25 MOA. And from that center dot out to the furthest hash mark, either horizontally or vertically, is going to be 35 MOA. So that's a ton of information to drop on you at once. We'll have all that in the links down below from a practical standpoint, what does that mean? If you just want to take this guy out on day one and start putting rounds down range, center dot at 100 yards, 2 MOA, it's basically 2 inches at 100 yards. And then your 17 MOA, that inner horseshoe from side to side on that, is going to be about 17 inches at 100 yards. It's going to be about the standard width of some of your 3-gun targets out at 100 yards. And coincidentally enough, it is also the average shoulder width of your standard biped. So our field of view on this at 1 power is going to be about 27 feet at 100 yards, and then fully zoomed in at your 4 power is going to wind up being about 11.1 feet, somewhere in that neighborhood. We'll have to check down the links below if you're interested in the full details on that. Your illumination settings, I know we'll get some questions. I get a lot of that on how useful is it in daylight settings. Today, while it is overcast behind me, the sun is coming through really heavy, so it's fairly bright out here today. And looking through it right now, cranking this all the way up to maximum power, you can definitely make out your red dot in there, and then the illuminated portion of the reticle. You can definitely make that out, but keep in mind that's against a black shootsteel.com target that's down there. If you're putting up against a really light target and it's really bright, that red dot is probably going to wash out some. Of course, obviously, you've got your reticle that's etched in a second focal plane that's black, and if it's that bright, you're going to have absolutely no problem seeing that black dot, or the entire reticle itself, which is all black. So you've got no issues with that regard as far as being usable, you know, from super bright all the way down to about as dark as can be. Speaking of these low light conditions, I've been taking this guy out with me at night around the farm here when I go out and take the dog out or do different tasks around the farm here in lower light or just moonlit conditions out here. And I have to say, the light gathering for this optic in its price point, it's clear glass to begin with. But it actually, for its size and for its price point, it gathers a surprising amount of light, which is nice to see. So you've seen this optic in and used in some other reviews in the past, over the past couple months. We've used this on a number of different rifles. I've got it on this custom 13C build right now, and I don't think I've ever actually done a full review on this rifle. We'll see. I've got a Faxon barrel on the end here. This is their 14.5 inch barrel with the 1.5 inch pinned flash hider. This has turned out to be a pretty accurate barrel, and I'm really digging it. It's got a nice light weight to it. CMMG upper and forearm here. We've got a Hexmag magazine as well as these Hexmag Keymod rail covers on here, which are nice. The lower itself was done, it's an etched ordnance lower, and Nick over at Etched Ordnance engraved the lower here with our 13C logo, which is pretty cool. I've got what's one of my favorite new triggers to come out from Geiselle. This is their Tricon Trigger in here. It's kind of a modified bow slash flat curve type of trigger. It's got some ribbing on it as well, which has a really nice feel. And I don't know if I necessarily want to call it speed shooting or exactly how I want to phrase it, but I'm really digging this trigger. Probably have some sort of standalone review on this. Also on the back here we have the Safety Harbor Firearms KES stock. This is a collapsible telescoping stock. It's nice and compact. This build by itself comes in, without the optic anyway, just under 6 pounds, even including this Safety Harbor stock on here, which is really which is nice to see. It's not too heavy, and this is something that's kind of nice to you know, if you wanted to take something and stick it in a pack or something and bring it with you. This may not be a bad option to build something like this if you were so inclined. I like where Nikon's been headed. I like where they're going, and I've always been a fan of their glass. They've done a tremendous job with that. And this is their black line that's coming out here and continues to release as we move forward. It's kind of a step in an evolution forward into, I hate to use the word tactical, but into the more modern market. You know, their Monarch 7, for example, kind of their flagship, phenomenal glass on that, but you know, it's more of a traditional hunting style target shooting type optic. It's nice to see them moving into something else. The clarity on this for the glass and its price point is very good. When it comes to your, and I know I'll get a lot of questions on this because I always do, when you're looking at your 1 power and you're looking at how true of a 1 power is that, it is close. It is very close, and I would say for an optic in this price point, it's as close to a 1 power as I've seen yet. I'm not sure if there's ever been a truly 1 power optic that's been out there, but like this, but it is very close. So they did a great job with that as well to pack it in at this price point. If you guys have any questions about this, feel free to leave them down below. Also, facebook.com/gun reviews. We can get those notifications a little sooner there and hopefully respond to you a little quicker. Instagram, we're at 13C Gun Reviews. And it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff over there. If you're not subscribed on our Instagram page, definitely go and check that out. You'll see behind the scenes stuff, and there's a lot of commentary back and forth on what you guys would like to see on some of these reviews going forward, because I love to incorporate some of your questions in with the reviews that we do. Hopefully I've pretty much covered everything that's been asked here today leading up into this review over the past couple weeks or months. If I haven't, like I said, leave those comments down below. Thanks again. Continue supporting 13C if you're so inclined. 13c.us, you can click over to our online swag shop. You can pick up some fight soap that we collaborated on them with, some 13C patches. We're not doing a Patreon right now, but if you want to support the channel still, go pick up some swag. Thank you again, guys. We really appreciate it. I think it's probably time to close this one out. Thank you to Federal Premium Ammunition. We still got a couple boxes left of their 5.56 from a previous review that we're killing off here today for this one. Thank you to them for getting those guys out for us for that previous review, and shout out to them as we finish it off here today. So thanks, take care, we'll talk soon.